tried to get back in immediately, but then the doggone thing timed out. So we're gonna make this quick. We read that article. We had just finished it. Just finished it by the time uh we lost everything. I think we're gonna lose more. We've been losing a lot. Sometimes we having these nice runs, but nothing goes wrong for weeks and weeks, and then all of a sudden you can't get a fucking steady stream to run. Ugh. I don't even know. All right, so what am I gonna? What do we want to do? Just in case this whole thing fritzes up. Uh, was trying to get a nice audience going, then all of a sudden this kind of thing happens. It really makes you angry at your carrier. It makes you angry that you couldn't knock it out like you wanted to. Just really It's really just frustrating. Um. So yeah, I guess. Do we want to try to at least do the last 30 minutes? Hmm. I don't even know. All right. Uh, I don't even know. The idea of this is just it's really hard to do what uh what's the word I'm looking for? Um I closed the window for this thing, so I think that might be a good thing. All right. If we don't look up stuff, what are we gonna talk about? It's Saturday. Um, it's just nice and quiet right now that we're not reading anything. So what do we do? I don't really know. Because I don't want to get into something and have this whole thing shut down on me again. Um, what are we gonna do? I guess we 28 minutes. All right. Hold on. I'm also hungry. Oh, that's not what I want. All right. Don't even bother me. You call them, they don't even get back to you. All right. So one more time, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So again, the whole thing crashed on us. And now we're back. We're gonna try and knock out the last 27 minutes, and then we're just gonna. But if we lose internet connection again, it's just a wrap. Man, it makes me. Yeah, I guess it makes everybody angry. Nobody's special about that. Um, but that whole Travis Scott thing just seems avoidable. Some people Joe Biden had a press conference today at like 1:30 in the afternoon. What did I say? All his press conferences are like before 2:30 so you can get some sleep. It really is just it really is just weird. You know, I'm gonna save the Western world, but first I gotta take a nap. It's like, what are you doing? We need term limits, baby. Term limits and age. Do I want to say age limits? Age. Wow, I could. You know what? I could close the window, but I'm gonna go get a jacket instead. Huh, where is my jacket? Close enough. Hoo-wee. All right. So what do we got here? We got one show tonight, right? That was late by half an hour because of Wi-Fi issues. Then we managed to stream for about, I want to say, 40 minutes, right? And then It dropped out again. Now we're trying to get at least 25 minutes in. But I want to thank all the guys who came through yesterday, man. Yesterday's show was crazy. It was so good. It was so awesome. I'm going to try and have more people show up. You know what we're going to do with this? Since you're going to be like that, we're going to put you right in front of the fire. Yeah, perfect. Hold on. All right. Come on, man. You're killing me. Yeah. All right. So you and I, us together, are going to try and rescue this stream, the Saturday night stream. Whew. Wow. All right. So we don't know whose fault it was, but it definitely was not our fault. I got to tell you, where's that thing I just had? Look at this wind. Now the wind isn't even trying to blow. All right, fine. Be like that. But I bet if I lit a cigarette, which I have not done in about 25 years, you'd be able to tell from the smoke. It's just Saturday. Remember, what's the rule here, right? Your Saturday should not be you going, oh, I'm glad I'm not at work, right? You should be doing something on your Saturday. Awesome and balling. I don't know what things you like to do, but it should be for you. It should not be a respite from work. So you can go, oh, glad it's Saturday. I hate work, right? I hate it yesterday. And then Sunday will come and go, oh, it's Sunday. I hate to go to work tomorrow, right? So work is always on your mind. Do some good things for yourself. I have to go get that guitar. Oh, there was also another weird thing. We talked horror movies yesterday, some really good ones. Yesterday's pod was really, really good. It was really, really good. I'm going to try and do more of those. See that wind? It is sort of ridiculous, isn't it? All right, so we ready? Here we go. My image is already frozen. Here we go. Is this gonna pan out? We got 22 minutes. Like I said, if it goes south, I want to thank everybody for showing up. Oh boy, here we go. I want to thank everybody for showing up. And if it drops us again, uh, just know that I'm thinking about you and I want you to enjoy your weekend. I'll be over here steaming and angry at the dang it, the incompetence of it, man. The incompetence of the idea that you cannot keep the Wi-Fi up and running from your end. Who knows, right? Maybe they got hacked by Chechens or some nonsense. Hey, here's a story. Whatever happened? Do we want to look it up? Whatever happened to the people who got kidnapped in Haiti? People were like, really, and now they're not even talking about it. So, are they still kidnapped in Haiti, or are they not kidnapped in Haiti? Americans kidnapped in Haiti. U.S. has seen proof of life for some kidnapped missionaries in Haiti 1 day ago. Haitian gang has shown U.S. proof of life for kidnapped missionaries. You know what? I will end them. I'm fucking sick of these people. It is not America's fault that your country is a shit show. You show up trying to like aid you and you kidnap people. That's Al Qaeda shit. I would run through your whole shit. Your island is only so big. It really is. I mean, the arrogance. It's just family of 70 missionaries kidnapped in Haiti speak out. 70 American missionaries kidnapped in Haiti. After rescue of kidnapped American in Haiti continues. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. 1 day ago. U.S. deploying significant assets to free Haitian. What does that mean? Significant assets? Yeah, it's gonna be dark, people. Um, I don't know. I don't know what. Oh, let's do that. I don't know what else the American system can do. Right? What can the American system do? Yeah, I think my internet is really dismal for some reason. I'm look, Haiti is a failed state. Haiti is a tragedy. Hey Brian, good to see you. Captain's log 1106 2021 1855. It's been a strenuous day, but I prevailed. Good job. I'm trying to prevail. You seem to be knocking it out. Uh I don't know if you know this, but this is the second iteration of this show because my Wi-Fi went out. It did that a couple of times yesterday, but this time it lagged us out for a good little. We were talking politics and why the Haitians haven't given up this guy or the Americans haven't gone over and taken that called the Haitians to task, right? They just sort of had a coup. They got rid of a guy. Their so the place is a mess. Their leader was assassinated from within by I want to say Colombians. Um, so yeah, I mean you're welcome to come up and give a shout out to what you want to say. Oh, you're driving home.
What's up?
What's good, man? Let's flip this. All right, so I gotta
I am
apologize
tired.
about the Wi-Fi. Because like I said, it jumped off, and so we've only been back for half an hour after being an hour late. So if for you and everyone else who's watching it, if it kicks off, like I said in the last one, we're just gonna go and like watch something on TV and not stress about it, knowing that I would normally have been here, and I do appreciate your time and your energy. And maybe you, because we're here every day, maybe you'll get with us tomorrow. But sometimes it's good to just call a loss, man. This technology shit has always kicked my ass. So since we got time and we're up and running, let's introduce Brian. He's from
Hello.
well, I think more y'all know Brian, right? So what you got for us, Brian? That's a beautiful scenery. Look at that sunset.
Yeah, just heading home. I had a plan today up for having a good day off, but I got called into work, so uh,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
right.
Yeah. Luckily, I had extra guys to give me a hand, but it's a pain in the ass carrying a long couch up 4 flights of stairs, though.
Wow, that sounds like a Brooklyn tenement. I'm so
It
under the
she
idea
well,
that when you move in Texas, they're ranch houses, so there's not a lot of stairs. You know.
no. She moved out from the suburbs out in Fort Bend County to Harris County into the Galleria, and the Galleria is like where all the bouginess lives.
Oh, right. She moved into the happening part of town, right? That
She's
whole
like,
thing.
yeah, she's like, I'm tired of living out here. I gotta get back in the city. And I said,
Right.
girl,
I
I
need the
grew up in the
scene.
city. I'm tired of the city. I'm like, I'm tired of the city. I love where I'm at.
You and me
I was
both,
like, you
man.
want to go ahead, deal with the noise and the riffraff? I'm gonna enjoy the peace and quiet.
Exactly. The grass is always greener, right? That's what it is. That's what's come down
Of
to.
course.
Whew.
And I found me a new barbecue spot.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I thought you were a master barbecuer. Why you dealing in other people's barbecues?
Well, the guys got hungry, so I told the customer, I was like, "Hey, we're gonna get a bite to eat, and then we'll finish the job." She's like, "Okay, cool."
Right.
So right along the way, it's like, "Oh yeah, I've been meaning to try this barbecue spot. Good barbecue. It's like it's built. The place is done inside of an old out of a old house that they just remodeled.
Oh, okay.
So you get that whole homely look and picnic benches
It's
and
like it's sort
everything.
of
I
like the
mean,
bar from the Drew Carey show, right? Do you remember this show?
no,
I'm
yeah, I
sorry.
remember the
I'm
show
showing my
vaguely.
age. The stock shot of it was essentially like a house that someone had converted into this their neighborhood bar in Ohio. I
Oh
always thought it
yeah,
was
yeah.
interesting.
Okay. Yeah, but it's on the side of a road, and I mean, it was really good. because right when I walked in, I saw the layout. I was like, "Oh, it's about to go down." And normally, I judge a barbecue place by their brisket, and
Right.
it passed. I give it the stamp of approval. Little mom and pop shop.
So, see, I don't. I hate to admit it. I don't barbecue. I've always lived in apartments. You can't, right? And now, even though I'm out of New York, I still live in an apartment. So I'm sort of obsessed with barbecue. The idea, like,
You
have
can
you?
barbecue.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Like the idea of like building like a grill out of like a drum, or buying one with a
Yeah,
smoker. Like, however you seem to like whatever your deal as a barbecue. Like, what do they call them? Barbecue pit masters, right? Are they calling pit masters or barbecue
yeah,
masters?
pitmasters. Yeah,
They are pit, right? And
pit
everybody sort of have
masters.
a different way to like age up their meat, man. It's so you couldn't have that in an apartment. So yeah, man. So and
See, look,
someone
look,
told
see,
me
look.
I was
There's my
saying that because someone
neighbor.
told me you judge a barbecue by the brisket or the ribs.
Yeah, yeah. I,
Is
I
that
judge
true?
like my best friend judges the brisket. I judge the ribs. Yeah, because like he has more of the science of doing the ribs.
Okay.
I mean, doing the brisket, and I have more knowledgeable on the ribs.
Okay. Let's shrink
So,
this down. So
but yeah, there's the house. But it's really cool though. But yeah, they it like for to have a good brisket, you other than the obviously what you could see, but you could go by feel,
right,
how it feels, and then when you pick it up, and if it feels all nice and like it's about to fall apart,
right,
that's a good sign. So you
right,
pick it up, and then it's like you have like that what I call like the jiggle test, where you pick up the piece and you jiggle it and it wiggles.
right.
That's a good sign. And then the bend test, where you have it over your finger, it bends completely over in your finger. That's a good sign. And then the pull test, where you could just where you slightly put a little effort in it and it just comes nice and easily.
And this is after having it smoked, and then what do you slow cook it?
Yeah, you
Can
smoke.
you
Yeah,
do
you
this
smoke it.
in a on a well, probably that's why they call it barbecue. You probably couldn't facsimilate this on like in your kitchen, could you? It has to be out in
Yes, you
the.
can.
You can.
You can. So since you live in an apartment, what you can do is you use your oven, and the cool thing that you have an oven, it has that constant temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep the moisture in, you put the brisket in, uh, and you season it with whatever you want, and you set it on the top rack of your oven. The bottom rack, you get like aluminum pan, like
Right.
one of those little throwaway pans.
Right.
You get that, and you get some wood chips, and you like let it soak up in water. So once it soaks up, you put it in the oven, and then you have like another aluminum pan with water, and that's how you keep your steam. And once you set those on the bottom, you set them on the bottom, and then you could set the temperature anywhere from 190
So
to like
super low.
like two. You could go from like 190 to like 250, and you could just set it and just let it work as magic. Have your oven fan on low, and after that, I mean, you just gotta
So
keep
you're
in mind like
saying
the size.
take these chips, soak them in water, and then let
Yes,
them because they're not lit right in the stove.
no,
So
they're
you
not
let
lit.
them naturally, sort of not naturally, but like sort of uh, evaporate all the water out of
Out of
the
the wood.
the wood, and that infuses it. That smoke,
Yeah,
now what is it? Steam infuses
yeah,
itself in the
yep.
meat, as well as having a second pan full of just straight clean water.
Straight clean water, so that way you keep it nice and that way you keep it moisture and it's not dried out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so the size of your brisket, whether it be like a 12 pound, 13, 14 pound,
Oof.
um, You
Dude, I'm gonna
just
try
gotta
this
keep in
because
mind
there's this great place down here.
it's an
And
hour a pound. It's an hour a pound.
okay,
So, but yeah, there's YouTube videos. You know, if you wanna do more research on it,
yeah,
'cause
I
a
probably will.
lot of people have different ways of doing it, but it comes out good. But yeah, you could just, you know, once you, I don't know if you want to buy your brisket already trimmed or you want to do the trimming yourself.
See, that's another thing I didn't know. That this is to get the silver out, right?
Yeah, you get to trim the fat.
Right.
Yeah, but you want to leave some fat on there because the fat is flavor.
Right. Well, I
You
like
want
I
to
hate to
have
say
at
it, but
least
I
a
like leaving
nice
fat on
layer.
when I cook steak. But what I what I don't is like the what I keep calling it silver skin. Is that what they call it? Like that tough membrane
The
that you have to
lining.
go in there and get out with a
No, no, no.
sharp
That's on
knife.
ribs. That's on ribs. You don't have
Oh,
to worry about that on brisket.
oh,
On
okay,
brisket, the only thing you're doing on brisket is you're just trimming the fat to where you have like a good amount because the fat's going to render and that brings out the flavor.
okay. Hey, Brian, man, I
Yeah.
don't want to keep you. You're still in your car. Go home, do what everyone does, relax, take a piss, have a beer. I'll likely be here.
Okay.
So if you want to come back, we'd love to have you back, but we don't want to hold you
Yeah.
hostage in your car. We don't want the
Nah,
neighbors to call the cops on you.
right,
He's
right.
just sitting in his car,
No.
officer. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a quick shower and then my roommate we're gonna go check out the Eternals.
Oh, nice. Okay. Is that to, oh, yeah, it opened yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, it opened yesterday.
Yeah. All right.
But
Well, enjoy your
all
weekend,
right,
man.
guys.
Hopefully we'll see
All
you
right.
later on.
Yeah, I'll hop on later on tonight. But yeah, man, thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. We'll see you in the next one.
Copy that.
Peace out.
All right, man. Good night.
Good
Good night,
night.
everybody.
So that's cool. All right, we should look up some brisket stuff. The reason I don't show people's the reason I don't show well, yeah, people's videos is, man, the rules of it are dodgy with YouTube. So, but yeah, brisket. Let's look up brisket. The whole Haitian thing is ridiculous. So how do you cook brisket in a on a stove? On a stove. How do you boil water on a gas? How do you boil water on a gas stove? That is not a question. All right. Oh my God, how do you boil water? Brisket. Did I spell brisket wrong? Briskett, right? Or is it one T? Brisket in the stove. Because you don't want to risk it. BBQ beef brisket. How many hours does it take to cook brisket? Our general rule of thumb is to plan on 30 to 60 minutes per pound. That's what he just said. Let's throw this up. Hmm. Does brisket get more tender the longer you cook it? Do not slice it. Cover the brisket in meat juices to let it marinate. You can't cook the meat even longer to make it tender. You can cook it. So you cook the whole thing at like a super low temperature for 18 to 20 hours. That's why it's so fucking expensive. It's labor intensive. 16-pound brisket cooked at 275 degrees Fahrenheit and will take 10 to 12 hours. Hold it. What does a 16-pound brisket look like? Let's let's go here. 16-pound brisket. All right. 16 pounds is not a lot of brisket. Yeah, you can actually go and buy. Look at this. Look at this. You want to know how to cook this? Look at all the juice. $159, baby. Look at this piece. What do I want to go and cook a brisket next week? I'm trying to get my cooking show on the air again as well. Um, But the problem that I stopped with the cooking show, I got honestly, I was getting a little round in the zone, and I was like, all right, maybe I should do more. Hold on, sorry. Maybe I should do more, excuse me, gaming since you know, cooking all the time. And you cook a lot of it for one person, all of a sudden it's just a wash. It really is just a wash. Uh, but you should still know how to cook a brisket. So I may risk that. There's a lot of things I should know. It's like learning how to ride a bike. I've met people in my life. I was like, you don't know how to ride a bike. Now I don't say that because I've met enough people who didn't know how to ride a bike. But back in the day, when I was like 19, 20, 21, and we went to college, you met somebody at a party or something. We just in the student union, and we're just talking shit, and you find out people don't know how to ride. There's all this stuff that people miss out on. Um, I just never never did a lot of barbecuing, and stuff that I cook is sort of everyday run of the mill stuff. But it would be nice to know how to cook a a brisket. And the thing that I never learned to cook is pancakes. One of my favorite things about uh my ex is she would cook me pancakes. I like pancakes like little kids, like what do little kids like to eat? French fries. Right? Don't you all feed little kids French fries? Uh yeah, it is what it is. I just never learned to make pancakes. And everybody can make pancakes. I can make all the other breakfast stuff. No, I can't make hash browns. Potatoes are for freaking French fries and mashed potatoes. Here's the thing. Don't tell anybody this. I want to make sure no one's around here. All right, you get some good pancakes. You get some good French fries, and you dip them in your mashed potatoes and gravy. If you yeah, but the straight mashed potatoes works too. I don't like ketchup in my mashed potatoes though. It has to be gravy. Here's another good thing: chicken wings. You dip those in gravy mashed potatoes. Knock yourselves out. Hot sauce. Mwah. And this is why you got to watch what you eat, because eating is fun. Tasting stuff, you will one day wake up and you will no longer be formidable. And we want you to be formidable. Uh, we have to watch our intake, no matter what size we are. Don't think that this is me telling you to be a size 0 or whatever it is. I'm just saying, food is enjoyable, and it will slacken you up, and you got to watch that. Um, I've got all this stuff here. I really need to fix. Ugh. All right, so we talked about brisket. We have been streaming for 20. Oh, look, I think we managed to beat. Is this even still going? I think we managed to beat the excuse me, the what are we calling these things? The outages, I guess we're gonna call them, right? We had a couple yesterday. They lasted a good long time, but they didn't last long enough to stop the stream like what happened with the last stream. And that, like when we first started this and these things started happening, at first I was angry. And then I was like, man, this technology, it does this. Now, now I'm back to being angry. Uh, remember, we started this thing. This may become a guitar stream in about a half an hour. If the whole damn thing holds. See the wind. Where's my phone? There it is. Hold on. What's the wind speed?
The wind's blowing at 18 miles per hour northeast right now.
18 miles an hour. That's pretty good. The last time we were raging about the wind and the weather, I think it was 13 degrees. 13 degrees. 13 13 miles per hour. I don't really know out of what or where or when or how. But yeah, so and yesterday, we should play that again. Yesterday, Ted came through and he told us about Bitcoin. Does anybody know much about Bitcoin? Uh, I mean, there's some research I'm obviously going to have to do. Okay, the show's officially a show. One of these days, I'm going to be editing these things down. That's why we hit them long form. And I'm out. Information, man. Good to hear from you. You look good, man. Peace and respect to you. I hope things are well on this Saturday evening. I'm sure. Thanks, man. Thanks. Uh, you want to come up and plug your stuff? Information Man has a great show. So some of you guys who like my stuff, you should look at his stuff. He goes in depth, and we sort of uh, just kind of cover a lot of stuff. But he goes in depth on topic. But yeah, just relaxing, just sort of having one. I've had some internet issues. Am I gonna sneeze this time? This is the second time this has happened to me. I've been trying to get rid of a sneeze here. So we had some internet issues, but now we're back at it. Uh, we'll see. We will definitely see. Because I got to tell you, um, it looks like my internet is not I don't want to say wonky, but there's also this energy from the Haps app, which is just sort of being goofy. So I don't know. I'm trying not to stress it because, like I just said, I lost a good portion of a show. Uh, yeah, I don't know. So, do we want to let's crunch? Let's dig into it. So, yeah, here's the thing. Let's get back to politics. So Biden had a press conference at like freaking 12:30 in the afternoon. Like he's never awake past 2:30. He's taking laps on this bill, like both of them have been passed. There's another infrastructure bill that they just gutted. And this infrastructure bill strikes me as who's gonna fix the bridges, right? Who's gonna do that? It won't be you and your buddy. It'll be some. I mean, it's dressed as a giveaway as far as I see it. And I've been looking all over trying to find the difference between the two bills. Uh, infrastructure bill. Why are there two? Are there two infrastructure bills? All right. House passes 1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. See, here's the thing about bipartisanship. They had 12 Republicans sign up for this thing, right? 12 is not bipartisan. I mean, the language is just so goofy on a lot of this stuff too. President Biden's secures infrastructure bill long eluded by prior administrations. Actually, prior administrations didn't take it up. This is sound like he did this amazing and impossible thing, and he didn't. You got to watch these people and how they tell you the story, right? It's like one of those movies where you watch a guy and they go, "What happened?" And the first guy tells one story, and then the second guy tells a completely different story from his point of view, and the third guy tells a completely different story from his point of view. What is the truth here? The truth is this bill was super long overdue. I mean, fucking bridges have been falling down, right? All right, yeah. Here's the thing about where I live. We have a security dude who comes through with the lights on. Um, he every time he drives through, he looks in my window because I guess all the other windows. Here's another thing. I'm so New York. I keep all my windows open. I like fresh air. No one keeps the window open down here. No one. It's so funny. Um, and I asked my sister why, and she was like, "People cut the grass, and the pollen of the grass comes. It's fine. It comes through the screen, and then it covers everything." Which I was like, "Yeah, I guess that's true." But now it's fall. So yeah, but every time he comes through, I've got all my windows open and I'm talking, and he just kind of slow rides through and he looks at me, and I'm just kind of like, Congress approves 1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. There's another infrastructure bill that they're talking about. It's supposed to be Tuesday because apparently they wouldn't put them in both bills. The progressive wanted their bill with both of them because they don't trust you to do the other bill. Once you get what you want, you're just gonna go be tell the progressives to go kick rocks. So apparently they're like, all right, look, we'll call for a vote on it Tuesday. And I think they're working behind the scenes. So when Tuesday comes, they'll tell some of those 12 Republicans who voted with them to vote it down. They can go, hey, look, we gave you a vote on this bill. Right. So all the social safety net shit that you wanted, you can go kick rocks. But all this giant money that we're going to give the companies and senators who brother-in-laws own the biggest whatever in the construction company here or there will get the opportunity. And that's what's going to happen. Yeah, I don't bipartisanship. You know what bipartisanship is? Bipartisanship is if you've got 20 Crips and 20 Bloods, right? And you're voting on what's the best color, right? And all the Bloods say red and all the Crips say blue, right? Bipartisanship is if you said, okay, guys, let's not talk about the colors of what colors of a rag you like better. How about what do we want for lunch? And you can still got a 20 and everybody goes, okay, pizza's good, right? So now you've got of the 20 Bloods and of the 20 Crips, you got 11 wanting pizza on each side. That's bipartisan. That's a large number. Not like, okay, we're gonna get hamburgers and 11 guys, 10 guys want hamburgers on one side, and nobody but one guy wants hamburgers on the other. It's so, I mean, their definition of what things are, I think are interesting. So, but we'll see. We will definitely see. Uh, bipartisanship. Yeah, of those 11 people, bipartisanship is having at least, maybe not all, but at least I'd say a little less than half. So we will definitely see. What's up, my brother? How you doing? How's your weekend going?
Oh, it's going fine, man. I'm just trying to relax today. I ran a
Yeah,
few errands and stuff like that. I'm glad I caught you live. Sometimes I
thank
miss you
you.
when you come on and then I'm like, oh man, he was already on. So sometimes I look at the repeats or whatever. But I'm doing fine. True, it's good to see you on here live, brother. You're doing your thing. And
Thanks, kid.
thank you for inviting me up. I just wanted to come up for a minute and share a
Yeah,
little
it's an
love
honor to have you. Tell
and
everybody who you
respect.
are and about your shows, man.
Oh, okay. I go by the name Information Man. You can find me here on Haps under the moniker of Information Man TV. And then I also have a YouTube channel, which is Information Man Show. And on my when you go to my platform or my profile page on Haps, I have all my social media links. So you can click into those links and you will find everything. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, all by the same name, Information Man
Right.
Show. So, and I talk about politics, political issues, cultural issues, um, current events, things that are happening today, and
Right.
I get into those areas. Some polarizing commentary sometimes here and there, but so you
Hard.
know,
Sometimes the truth is hard, right?
yeah, uh, not to labor the point too much, but I the other night I had to get all over the Democratic. I think the Democratic Party's in trouble. True. Oh,
Yes,
they're in a
I
lot of
agree with that.
trouble.
I agree.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna play the game. They're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they
They
keep
got
failing people.
infighting. They got infighting within their movement between the progressives and the moderates. They're having a hard time, even though Joe Biden got lucky yesterday and they were able to pass some form of the infrastructure bill.
Right.
There are other things that are happening that tells me I think they're going to lose the House and the
Yeah,
Republicans are going to strengthen up the Senate, and then Joe Biden's going to be struggling the next couple of years in his presidency to get anything passed.
I agree with that. I think the progressives want it. First of all, they're not moderates; they're conservative Democrats. So
Okay,
you want to call
conservative
them
Democrats.
moderates, so you don't call them Democrats, right? Because
Right.
the media is pro them already, so the media is not going to call them what they are. And they're incompetent. They haven't come across, right? They give you stuff you didn't ask for, like this holiday, Juneteenth. It was like I was celebrating it anyway, and nobody was marching for Juneteenth. They were marching for police reform, right? But instead to go, hey, we're still your party. We gave you this date, and people were like, "What? That's not what. That's that of all the things we wanted. That is thing number 20, right? What
Mhm.
about all the other stuff?" So yeah, I think he's in a lot of trouble. And I think the progressive don't trust Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer or Biden. I think that's why they wanted both bills passed together. They think once we pass what you want, you're gonna screw us over on what we want. And we're gonna see
Right.
Tuesday when the second bill comes to pass, right? Because I really do think that they're gonna tank it somehow. I think they're gonna bring over Republicans to tank it. Just like 12 helped pass this thing today, there'll be 12 who'll undo it
Right.
uh, Tuesday.
Well,
Because
I,
Tuesday's bill is about the people, right?
mhm.
College and childcare and all that is in the other bill. This bill is just about the bridges and the roadways. So it's a
But I
giveaway to corporations because the governments ain't gonna do it.
right. But I wonder, True, how much of those programs in the infrastructure bill, such as the community college, the family leave, and all that kind of stuff, paid
Right.
family leave.
Child tax
I wonder
credit.
how much of it's going to be gutted to like very bare minimum, just
Yeah.
enough to please people like Joe Manchin. And by the way, Joe Manchin is not a Democrat. He's to me, he's just
No.
basically a Republican operative. If you
Yeah.
look at the state of West Virginia, it's very conservative, and he's doing everything to appeal to the conservative of energy of that state. So I don't know
Right.
why we're under this or some people are under the impression that he's a Democrat. When you look at his the way he moves, he goes along step, lock, and barrel with whatever the Republicans want in that Senate. So I find that kind of weird.
Yeah, I think Joe Manchin was just one of 50 until his opposition became important with tied Congress, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it was, again, his power is if you would have just look, the Democrats and the Republicans only ever talk to their own group, right? And
Hmm.
if you were able to get at least a few more Republicans on board with a good idea, everybody has children. Why is the child tax credit not a thing, right? You don't have to be only be Democrat to get that. I just think that I don't know what they're doing. I just really don't. And at this point, I think they're losing like more and more of the black vote, and they're going to have to work to get it back. The idea that we don't get anything for our vote and we keep voting for them, a lot of people are just going to stay home, and they don't. That's the last thing. It just happened here in Virginia. Um, so yeah, the first thing you see is Virginia goes, and you didn't expect it to, and then um, there actually a tight race in Jersey. Their governor race still. Everybody called it, but the guy still hasn't conceded. So I mean, people should be really for, a child.
Well,
That's for everybody, a child tax credit, but they want you to be for inheritance, like stuff that you don't get to partake in.
yeah, I felt that the situation in New Jersey, when you look at a Democratic governor who should have easily won the election, but he
Yeah,
struggled. And as you said, his opponent did not concede. So that
right.
tells you the fact that he barely made it to gain his seat again.
He didn't even beat the what did they always say, plus or minus 3 points or whatever that was. If he had gotten 5 points, this
Right.
wouldn't be it. So he's within that margin of error of
Right.
plus or
But
minus,
it's
and
still
you don't want to be
it
there.
still paints a bad sign for the future
Yeah,
because I just think that let's be honest, and you've heard people on media talk say this. It shows us that people in those states that voted for Joe Biden, they didn't vote for Biden necessarily because they agree with his politics or the Democrats. It's because they
right,
just got sick of Trump.
right. They didn't vote for you. They voted against him.
Right.
Is
They
what
voted
happened.
against Trump. They were tired of Trump's antics. So
Right.
what it shows you is that now that they got Trump out of the picture right now, they're still voting their personal interest, which is they want conservative Republicans in these seats that are speaking to their issues. And that's
Right.
what people have to understand. People are voting to the whatever they believe in. However, what's happening is that, and I brought this up on my program, the Republicans are very good at messaging, while the Democrats are very poor messengers, and they don't
Yes.
do a good job of promoting and
Right.
focusing on what people are going to get out of these bills. If they would do a better job of campaigning as to what you're really getting, that you see would benefit you, so that you can call these folks up on the phone and say, wait a minute, you better vote for this. The
Right.
Republicans do a great job of messaging. Their messaging right now has been this whole thing about critical race theory, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. The bottom line is they've done a great job at pushing those margins and those angles at
Right.
getting to suburbanites and mothers and fathers and saying, and even if you don't agree with how they're doing it, it's
Now you're
what they're
right.
doing is effective. And the
They get the message
Democrats
right.
have not learned that.
Right. I agree with that. I think even if the message is bad, they get out with the message and they get it to everybody, right? And they tie you to it emotionally. So now people feel like they have an emotional stake in all this Republican stuff. Whereas the Democrats just seem to be, like you said, just bad at messaging. Bad at, like I said on my show, look, I'm not going to vote for you, right? So now you lost me. But if you really want me to be spiteful, I'll vote for the other guy, and that's not what you want, right? So what is your message? And if you can't get it for me, then I need someone else in that position who can get it for me. So they
Right.
can't seem to deliver anything, and they don't want to leave the positions. So now they're sort of at war with their own constituents. It's like that Nina Turner thing, right? Nina Turner was defeated by the Democratic Party, who came in and undid her whole campaign, even as the Democratic people wanted her, right? So she wasn't undone by her opposition; she was undone by the Democratic Party. So then you see this, and just kind of like these people are just running like a social club or a golf like
Well,
where you
want a
can't get in,
certain narrative.
right?
Nina Turner wasn't beating the drum of the narrative that they want.
Right. She
And
wasn't
if
going
you
to play
don't
well
fit
with
the
others when
narrative
she
that they
got
want,
there.
they're going to pick somebody else that fits that narrative and get rid of you. And
Right.
I'm going to say this: it doesn't do the Democratic Party any good to cannibalize themselves like that.
Right.
And then I got a bone to pick anyway, and that simple fact that since Biden's been in office, I really don't see what they've done to gain for black people who were their biggest constituents, or we're
Yeah.
we're their biggest loyal voters,
Right.
and they have not done a damn thing for us. I'm
Right.
sorry. I've got everybody that I talk to, True, ain't
Right.
down with this $450,000 that they're going to give these folks across
The
that border.
immigrants. Yes.
Right.
I agree.
No, I got a problem with that. You can't do
Yeah.
that. Before you take care of the people here first, who've
Exactly.
been rocking with you. Okay. Now, you can make the argument that, you can make the argument either way that what Trump did was wrong, them putting the kids in and separating them. I agree with that. Children should not be separated from their parents. That shouldn't happen. However, I said this on my program. The people over there in Central America who came through that area, which, by the way, True, I don't think they walked all the way from Central America to the border. That's a goddamn lie. I've seen video footage where there were buses that were driving those people half the way. What's going on
Wow.
across that border was also somebody was doing social engineering. So these folks came over here with no guarantee that their kids and their family and their wives are going to get in here scot for free.
Right.
And they put themselves at risk, and they put their own children at risk, whether we agree with Donald Trump's policies around this
Right.
or not. But then for Biden to come in and turn around and give these folks money when there's been atrocities and there's been horrible things that have happened in this country to people that we can identify in this
Right.
country, not in yesteryears. We can go
Right.
yesteryears, but even currently now. And
In the last year.
Right. They didn't even give Miss Fletcher, 107 years old, who was a survivor of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre, didn't even give her no money that came from the federal government. But he went there and clapped and gave a celebration, but no
Right,
money, no check in hand. I got a
right.
problem with that. And that's basically damn near $1 million per family collectively.
Yeah, they did. th- They don't make any sense. They just and look when what did he say when he came in? America isn't racist, but then like you can't pass any bills. You can't rein in the police. You won't look at any of these wrongful convictions. Like you won't do anything for us, but you keep asking us to show up for you. And I think, like I said, that holiday that nobody asked for was like, hey, here's a coin. Kind of like, and people are like, no one asked for this. We
They
like the
threw
stuff
us
we asked
symbolism.
for is banking reform and real estate redlining to stop and all the and they won't go there for us. But you know, people who will break the law to get and violate the country's borders, right, will get
Right.
millions of dollars. Like, well, it just they don't make any sense and they can't explain themselves.
Right. Lorenzo says they only using black folks to make us socialists, communists, and under Chinese and Russia. Let me say to Lorenzo, we're far away from being on that level of socialism, sir.
Yeah,
If
I
we
would
were
agree.
on that level of socialism, when they put us under lockdown in California, by the way, it really wasn't a lockdown, folks. I live in California. If we were really under socialist control, like in China and Russia, do you know if they said stay in your house and you walked out your house and cut the tape that they put across your door, they would whoop your ass and literally kill you?
Right,
Tell me where in the United States they've done that to anybody.
right.
You may not like wearing a mask or the mandates with with the vaccines, but there's nowhere in this country where you step out your door and the government tells you better not come out of the house once they put that tape across your door that you've been killed. And so yeah, and yeah, we have something. We don't want socialism and all that to take over, but we're way far away from the level of socialism that you have in
Yeah,
China.
socialism is
China
not
is a
taking over.
dictatorship. We're nowhere near that. And matter of
Right,
fact, if you talk about socialism, come on now, let's keep it real. We have all forms of socialism in America. One, do
yeah,
you like your fire department to come to your house when your house is on fire? That's
yeah.
socialism. Do you like the police to show up when you call them? That's a form of socialism. And let's not
I
forget
got one
who,
better. The American
who
military is socialism, right? I mean,
right,
those
right,
guys all get health care at once
right.
day one you serve until you're 199 and you're
Thank
out,
you.
right?
And,
So we
and
do a lot and nobody calls that socialism.
right. And who do we do the biggest economic business with for our products? China. We're
China,
doing
yeah,
business. And check this out. The chain of supply issue that we're having in this country is because China is doing all of our manufacturing. We're not
yeah,
manufacturing
we
enough
make
products
them
in
rich.
America. So
Yeah,
when you talk about socialism, well, if we don't like socialism, ask the United States government why they doing the biggest business with a socialist country that makes all of our products. See?
right,
So you can't have it both ways.
right. And I can answer that. You know why? It's like why Britain likes to do business here, right? There's only about 60 million Britons. So, but here there's 350 million Americans, so they can sell you more, whatever. And we want to do the same thing in China. But there's 350 million of us and there's a billion of them, but they don't buy any of our stuff.
No, the China that's
That's the
see,
thing.
that's the effery of this whole situation. That China doesn't buy any of our stuff.
They
They don't
won't let
buy
us
our
show our
cars, but
movies.
we
Right.
buy all their stuff
Right.
because
Exactly.
we don't we sold basically the politicians have sold this country out to outsourcing and getting everything built in China because they produce the products cheaper, obviously, and therefore they can say,
Right.
"Hey, Americans, we're giving your products cheaper." But
And
just because they're
substandard.
cheaper doesn't make them better.
Right. They've been building it substandard. There used to be what drywall and the dog and the baby food. Remember this? So yeah, China is just
Yeah.
like a
I in all due respect to Lorenzo, I do see the bigger picture. We don't want to become socialists. We don't want to become a dictator. I get what you're saying. We don't want to get close to that, but we do have politicians who act like they're dictators. I get
right.
what
Look,
you're
listen,
saying.
America won't ever be a socialist country. The place
No,
is
I don't.
too free and too many guns. You're not gonna do it.
Right. It can never because
all this fear mongering, they're coming to get you, is what that really is. You need to know who the players are and what they're doing.
right.
Joe Biden is a freaking capitalist. He made himself filthy rich in government,
Right.
and
And
so is his friends.
most
So
socialist countries don't allow their citizens, if I'm correct, true, you can correct me. Most hardcore socialist countries don't allow their citizens to have the right to bear arms. Am I
right,
right or wrong?
right, exactly, exactly.
And you got the NRA is the biggest lobbyist group in this country. I'm
Yeah,
telling you right now, I don't that we would have another situation that happened in January 6th if they decide to take everybody's guns away.
yeah,
You would
I would
definitely
agree.
have people storming the
And it
Capitol
wouldn't
then.
be the white guys only or the Southerners only. It'd be everybody.
You would
It
have
really would be
everybody
everybody.
now
Yeah.
because not
The
everybody
one
in
thing
this
that brings
country
everybody
wants to
together
have their
against you.
rights to bear arms taken away from them. So, but I get what he's saying. We don't want the country to veer in that direction. Totally get what he's saying. But I believe, true. Tell me if I'm wrong or right. I believe both branches of political parties. I think they're both broken in their own unique ways. The Democrats are obviously broken in so many
Yeah.
ways, and there are things about the Republican Party that's broken as well. Because maybe I'm wrong or right, but that I've always seen them as a political party that's very beholding to corporations.
Yeah. They're uh corporatists now. And they always have. They've always been glad handers. Like and they always had someone to blame when they couldn't deliver. It was always the immigrants' fault, the women's fault, the blacks' fault, the socialists' fault, right. But
Hmm.
remember that scene in Spies Like Us at the end where with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, it's just, at the end they're negotiating with the Russians, and like
Hmm.
people outside are talking very serious, and who knows these salt talks about the missiles, and then there's the shot of them inside, and he's in his American army with his tie off, and there's a Russian lady sitting in his lap, but they
Right.
had gone through this thing. That's what the Democratic and the Republican parties are, right? So they come outside,
Hmm.
they tell you all this stuff and who's to blame, and then they all go to Capitol Hill and behind closed doors, they drink wine together, they smoke together, they hold each other sinister secrets together. Essentially you can insider trade as a
Right.
congressman. You and I will get 30 years for that. And they do
Right.
that together. And it's their
Hmm.
fiefdoms, right? And
Hmm.
once somebody falls out like Cuomo, let's say, all of a sudden nobody knows him, right? Nobody. I'm like, hey, the media should go, weren't you his best friend? Didn't you just say last summer you bounced together all the time? Now they
Right.
won't ask those questions because these people, the media, says what they say, I believe, for access, so I can get to interview the president versus them shutting me out. And then
Right.
they all make money sitting at that desk. Now they're all millionaires, right? So
Hmm.
before you know it, you have this cabal of your politicians who are all rich, the media who are all rich, sort of beholding to stay there to these people who never run for office and never pay taxes and can give you a good reputation, right? They could pick you out of nowhere and say, "Man, this Information Man show was found on YouTube. It's just genius," and they say that on larger platforms, and before you know it, uh, people who are so used to listening constantly to what they call traditional media
Hmm.
will show up at your spot versus the new media way of building your audience. People coming by going, I like that guy. I'm gonna stay around. I'm gonna like and subscribe,
Right.
right? But once they build you, all of a sudden Revlon wants to come, and then before you know it, you've got all these side deals with all the traditionalists,
Yeah.
and what you talk about shifts.
Right.
And I think that's what's going on here. I think they've been corrupt for a long time, since the 50s, quite frankly. And now,
Hmm.
like I said on my show, you used to be able to hold like like Kennedy. Everybody apparently knew he was a womanizer and cheating on his wife, but nobody said shit. And we found out in the 80s. Now
Right.
everything is nothing stays secret for 30 years, right? Like
No, because
everybody
of the
will come
cell
up and say,
phone.
so and so did this, and here's the text message she sent about apologizing for touching me, right?
Right. The
Bam.
cell phone will
You know,
reveal all things.
exactly. I think they're still trying to run it like it's the 50s in an era where
Right.
people know, like almost instantly.
Right. Let me make this commentary
Yeah.
to I think you have Lorenzo in the chat room. He
Right.
said this. He said, "Why do you think they want to take away our guns? Under the Obama administration, Biden did the
Did
bad
they try to put
they
on?
tried to put on Trump in Ukraine." Let me answer the thing about the guns. One, the NRA is the strongest lobbyists in this country. They've got the money, the resources. They've been lobbying the government for a long time. Two, we know that a good hunk of this country is made up of the southern part, and a lot of these Republicans in the South have a lot of constituents who believe in bearing the right to bear arms. Do you think the Republicans would actually pass a bill to take away everybody's guns? They
No.
would lose their shirt, everything. Like we said earlier, you would see a storm of people of all races coming up there saying, "You're not going to take our arms away from us." So for that reason, I don't think it would happen, because
Right.
the Republicans would never let it happen, because the Republicans represent people who like to bear their arms. I don't
Right.
even think the
I don't think it's
Democrats would
just
be crazy
Republicans.
enough to
Look,
do it.
it's not just the Southerners who are for it. Like there are people who hunt in Vermont, right? And they're
Right,
Democrats, right? There are
right.
people through Montana, like so. I mean, and I'm not even talking about the target practice, Kaz, but I think America would love to de-arm the population, right? Because then you
Yeah, I
don't have
mean,
to worry about
technically,
them. You don't have to worry
quietly
about
as
them.
it's kept, they would like to de-arm because they
Yeah,
don't want people to be able to have the ability to, like, go at them. But the
exactly.
reality is it wouldn't happen because of
It
the way
wouldn't.
the Constitution's set up around
Right,
it, and the fact that these politicians are beholding to being in office and people can vote them out.
right,
But I can say this though. This is why I kind of laugh. I got to be honest. When I hear white guys, because the white guys are the main ones, I just got to keep it real. White guys are the main ones that I hear on a political level who talk about, we're going to lose our guns.
right,
They say that. But the fact of the matter is, true, is that black people, black men, are the only group of people in this country who have had our arms taken away from us. Case in point, in California, used to be able to bear arms in California. The Black Panther Party went up to Sacramento, California, in our state capital.
right,
In California at that time, you could have your arms out, you just couldn't have a bullet in the chamber. So
right,
the Black Panther Party went up there and they used it sort of as a symbolism of their discontent. They had no bullet in the chamber. They didn't shoot anybody. They didn't bully anybody. They were just demonstrating under the
right,
law, which they had the
right,
right to do. What
right,
happened in those days is that when they came up to the Capitol, Reagan was governor of California. They took their guns away from them, which they had no right to do. Then they gave the guns back to them after checking them because they
after that,
wanted to see if they had a bullet in the round.
right,
After they gave them their guns back, members of the Black Panther Party proceeded to leave Sacramento, heading back to Oakland, and they stopped at a gas station. This is history. The
right,
police followed them to the gas station and did what? They arrested them all and took the guns back. Then Reagan turned around and changed the laws in California to say
right.
that you could not have open carry because white people got very upset at seeing black people bear their arms
I
even
remember
under the
this. It's
law.
like 72. Right.
So if you
Yeah.
go back and you look at history, this is why black people have the attitude and the chip on our damn shoulder. We are the only group of people in this country who got our arms taken away from us when it was legal for us to have it. And then they changed the laws to make sure that we can't have arms
Right.
at the same time trying to protect themselves from us. So that's
Right.
why I laugh when I hear older white men say, "Oh, we're going to have our arms taken from us." Black men already know what that's like. Our
Right.
forefathers know what that's like to have their guns taken from them when they legally had the right. So
Right.
so nobody in this country knows what it feels like more than black men do to have your arms taken away from you
Right.
when you
And look at
when you had the right to have them.
right. Look at Philando Castillo, right? He was an NRA member, Philando Castillo. He was an NRA member. The cops killed him, right? And the NRA said nothing, right? He wasn't brandishing. There's just this paranoid. I mean, that cop is doing like 25 years now. He was actually convicted of murder. But the idea that you say you stand for these principles, and then when something like that happens to like a black guy, all of a sudden your organization who deals in guns, it's your wheelhouse. All of a sudden you got you got no comment on it.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I
I,
think
I
they
just
do want to
wanted to,
de-arm us.
yeah, I
But
do
like
get
I
what
said,
Lorenzo is saying, but I just know when it comes to black males in particular, they don't like us being armed, even if
right.
we have the right to be
Look, if
armed.
you don't mind me saying, like I can't say I remember this, but I was told that this was like the fatal thing that undid the Black Panthers, right? First of all, just because you got 12 guys to do this, right? You expose all these other chapters who aren't doing that, right? You made yourself a target, and it's sort of flipped from my first association with the Black Panthers in Brooklyn was the food program, right? They fed us. Like me and my little sister, all my cousins, we would go down there. We'd get like an apple juice with the little silver thing on it, a banana, an apple. We get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a bologna and cheese sandwich. And that prompted the government to come up with a food program for poor people because, quite
Right.
frankly, they embarrassed the government into doing something. And then they sort of shifted their position like they were an army, and you're like, that's just, you know, you've got women and children here, right? And it sort
Let
of played into the hands of
Yeah.
how they undid themselves.
Let me
And
just say
yeah,
let me just say this because Lorenzo is enjoying the conversation. He said that the Native Americans were the first to take away their guns and food and their rights and their freedoms. I don't agree. Um, well, I would say this: he doesn't realize that a lot of Native Americans were black. You're talking to one right here. I'm a freeman. I got ancestry. So there were Native Americans that were also black, and Native Americans did have a lot taken from them. Damn, they had their land taken away from them. They
everything,
had their
right? But
country
they didn't
taken
have
away from them.
guns. They got their
So
guns
I
from the Europeans,
but
just like they got their
but
horses from the Europeans.
right. But this is the thing. I'm talking about in terms of laws. There were no
Right,
laws that I know of, and maybe he can educate us. There were no laws that I know of that said Native American people cannot bear any arms, meaning a law in the book, right?
right,
Or I'm not trying to say that they didn't have anything taken from them, but what I'm trying to say is as the right to bear arms really start to develop itself, they really created codes to keep black
right.
people or black men
To keep you
from
from being
having
fully a full citizen.
right,
What
being
up,
full
man,
citizen.
Tony?
And
Right,
remember, Native Americans were given sovereignty, right? They were given
right,
sovereignty to have their own land and their own nation, and
right.
within their own nation, they had their own guns. Even today in the
And
21st
courts,
century, Native Americans have their own police force and their own thing to
courts,
control them.
right.
Now they're not. Now
They just
I'm
don't
not
have their
saying
own
they're on the
prisons.
best land, that they're on. They got the best resources. Some of them don't have all that casino money, right? Not all of them getting that casino money. I'm simply saying black Americans were never given sovereignty. They
Right.
lied to us and said they were going to give us 40 acres and a mule, and we never got a 40 acres and a mule. So when you talk about when Native Americans had their weapons taken away, not necessarily when they were given sovereignty to be their own nation, they had weapons. Black people, whenever had any kind of weaponry, their fear is that we were going to use that to riot
Uh-oh.
against them.
All right, we're
So
back. Man, I'm having connection issues. All right, so I'm looking at this. It says both white and blacks murdered 150 men. That's not true.
no, that's
That's
not
not
true.
true.
I don't know where he's getting his numbers from.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah, I
And
don't
the
know where he's
Buffalo
getting his
Soldiers, you
numbers
know
from.
why they were even called Buffalo Soldiers? What is this profile? All right, well, I'm having issues with my connection here. Just in
It's
case we
okay.
get
But
kicked,
see,
I'm
this is
gonna thank
this
you,
is the
but it might,
problem.
yeah,
This is the problem. People don't know. See, a lot of people don't know our history very well and history in general very well. Buffalo Soldiers had a connection to Native Americans too. That see, people don't know that. There's always been a connection between our people
right,
because when black people would escape from plantations, they would go into what we call Native American territory, where there were some Native Americans that gave black people safe passage through.
yeah. Yeah.
And then the
I
gentleman
mean, there's
that's
stories about when the Indians first saw black people who I forgot his name. He was brought over by Columbus, right?
right, right.
So I
But
mean,
the gentleman downstairs may not also know this history. There were also Native American tribes that got in on the slave game that captured black people and put them in their form of slavery. See what I'm saying? I bet you he
mm,
didn't. I bet you he didn't know that. So when you start talking about who got something taken away from them, we all got something taken away from us.
right,
But what I'm saying is, I'm talking about a specific time in history where we're living in society where there were laws that said that you had the right to bear arms, and when black men exercised that right, the guns got taken from them. The Native Americans are a whole different situation because they never
right,
were part of America like us. They were seen as a sovereign nation
right,
to themselves, and they fought for that. Black people were not seen as a sovereign nation. We were told that we were told that we're supposed to be citizens like everyone else. So when we exercise that right, we got punished for it. Native
right.
Americans had their own territory, and to this very day, you can't have a police officer in America just drive into a Native American community and
Right.
run ruckshep. They have to use their people. But police can
But
run
those
all through our
communities,
neighborhoods and accuse us of all sort of things.
right. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's two, right? It's essentially it's two genocides, right? I mean,
Right.
from what I read, there was like 120 million Indians, and now they're like 1% Indians.
Right.
Uh,
Not to mention the
it's an amazing
drug
thing.
and alcohol abuse that has
Right,
happened to their community, which is
right.
devastating. That has really done a lot of damage to their community, and the
Now you're
United
driven
States
to what you're
government
saying.
has to pay a price,
Uh,
has to pay up for that.
yeah. Look, Lorenzo Garza, man. Now look. We can disagree on stuff, but we're not going to insult anybody in the stream. All
Yeah,
right,
I've
bye.
been very
Enjoy your
respectful to
weekend.
him too.
Yeah,
I
well,
never
yeah.
called him
I'm
out of his
so
name.
right. And this is, I mean, we have some issues with some of the things you're prognosticating here, but yeah,
Yeah,
now you're a
even
joke
when
to
I
what you're
disagree
saying.
with what he's
That
saying,
this assumes that no
I've
one
been
but
very
you is right.
respectful.
Yeah. So
I
yeah. All
haven't
right.
called him a nut or anything.
Right. I mean,
I've
you
given
miss
some
an
I've given
opportunity
some
to enlighten people, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But
He
now
said
you
some
just sound
things that
like
I said were pretty good. And he made some statements that I said, okay, that's kind of true. And then I gave a different perspective. We talked some history, but I didn't get personal with the guy. So I don't know why he would get personal like that. See, this is the problem with social media. People
yeah,
get caught up in their feelings. And
yeah,
it's just like, hey man, I'm not even trying to like be disrespectful. We can disagree, but we ain't got to get all personal. And
right. We
I
talk
never did
about
any
it.
pop shots at him. I simply said that sometimes people don't know the whole story when it comes to history. I
Right.
don't know everything. You don't know everything. We don't all know everything, but you can't put Native Americans in comparison with black people because they were given a sovereign nation. That's all I
Right.
said.
And
We didn't get a sovereign nation.
everybody's pain is different, right? Even if you had a dark incident like a murder, this family can't be put next to this family because like each horrible thing is different to the community, right? So I mean, yeah, I absolutely know that there was 150 million in not 120. I heard he said 150, which are just gone, right? I
Right.
mean, and so yeah, we know this, but to say that we did it, we are 13% of the population. You know what I'm saying? Um, and
I
why would
like to
you?
know, True, I
It
would like
implies
to
that
know.
we were so in pocket
Mhm.
that we would do this thing while they were still murdering us off. We were confined, and
Right.
like,
We
I
were
was talking to
segregated
somebody a
and
couple of days
confined.
ago. There's been an
Like
Italian mafia,
Native Americans were given land, they were given the worst land, and they were put on these reservations to thrive by themselves. Black people were segregated and ghettoized in communities, and
right?
we were
Exactly.
told in this society that we can't go here, we can't go there. You got to go
Right.
to a black only restaurant, or you can't drink out of this water fountain. So we were put in
Right.
segregation.
We were hyper scrutinized, right? I
Right.
mean, the idea
And
that we would then be allowed to like people. I had this conversation with this guy was like, blacks were slave catchers. I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, there's a movie about kidnapping a free black guy and then bringing him to the South. Why would you then have a group of people riding around in an environment where everybody would just grab them and sell? You know, they had no authority to be out in a group catching slaves. You know what I mean? So,
well,
so some of what people say is just not. It doesn't pass the smell test, right?
right.
Um. So
No, normally, if you this is if you were a black person who escaped from a southern plantation and you went north,
right,
you had people in the north, white men in
right,
particular, who would try to capture black people. At one point in time in the north,
because
they
right,
told black people, even in the damn north, don't go outside alone at night because you had people that would snatch you up from the
right,
south and bring you back down.
right,
And if you did have black people involved in it, it's because those were black people that were slaves, and their slave masters or slave overseers were making them, using them to help catch
right.
somebody.
And
So they
they
were
were
doing
kidnapping
it.
free black people too who weren't
Right.
slaves
It
to
wasn't
anybody,
free
right?
black people. It was people. It's just like that movie. This is the danger. This is the danger of that movie. That's why
Of
I
that
didn't go. I
era.
didn't like it. I didn't go see
Okay.
it. You had the Harriet Tubman movie that came out
That
a
movie's
couple
horrible.
years ago,
Right,
2 years ago, I think.
right,
And they had a depiction of a black man in the movie who was a bounty hunter hunting after Harriet Tubman by the
yes,
name of I forgot what the name that he gave him. But it came to find out, True, that was a fictional character. There
yeah,
was no black man chasing Harriet Tubman around.
right,
And that's the reason why a lot of black people gave that movie a lot of criticism, saying, why would you create a Bigger Long was his name? They came up with a character called Bigger Long. There
bigger
was no
long,
man, no black man that
right,
was a bounty hunter that was
right.
chasing
But
around
remember,
a
you
black
have to be
woman.
running around with a weapon, right?
Right.
Black in
And
this
in
environment,
and in the
and when
movie,
any white person can stop you, and
mhm,
it would never happen.
right.
If
But check
you
this
know,
out, though, True. In the movie, which is what made it so embarrassing, they had this guy playing this character called Bigger Long, who was fictional. In the
mhm,
movie, they say to him, why are you bounty hunting? He says, I'm doing this so I can get white women. I'm going to collect money so I can get white
right,
women.
you're right,
All the stereotypes in the
right,
movie. Come to find out, historically, that character never existed. There was no black bounty hunter at that
right,
time at all. And what's bad about that movie is that you have people that'll go see that movie and they'll think that they're seeing history being told correctly, and they'll
exactly,
walk out and they'll say, "Oh yeah, there were black bounty hunters."
right,
Bullshit. There were no black bounty hunters that were
exactly.
running around this country at that time collecting money
Right.
and getting and like that.
You might
No.
well have written a love story about an interracial couple living in a town in Georgia in like the 1870s. You know, it would be
Right.
just as stupid. It defies logic and the era of the time that this is supposed to represent. You
Right.
know,
And so that type of revisionist history that's very dangerous.
yeah,
You have kids that go to the movie, you have grown ass adults that go to the movie, and then they'll get on these social medias telling you and me, oh,
right,
you guys had bounty hunters. Fool, it was a fictional character that was created you was looking at in a movie that
right,
never existed.
right. But that's the magic of movies, right? I mean, people saw Birth of a Nation and really thought that, this was how it all went down. It like because it connects you emotionally to something, right? And
Right.
I've had people quote stuff from movies that they saw a long time ago and really think that it happened, right? They forget where they got the information, but it's in their head. And you're like, that's not accurate at all.
It's
But yeah,
called Hollywood and their creative licensing that they do,
yeah,
where they
exactly.
add to a story to make it more, to make it fit a little Hollywood narrative.
Right.
So I think the best way to learn history in this way is to read real books that have a real accounting, read real books by real historians who do
Yes.
heavy research. And then you
Yes.
can also research yourself, and then you'll get a better perspective on the history opposed to just looking at these movies I like documentaries. Documentaries are a lot better,
Yeah.
because they're not getting into this fictional type stuff.
Right.
But and don't get it wrong, Mr. Lorenzo. I'm not saying that Native Americans didn't get screwed over. They got screwed over big time. Why? Because look
Absolutely.
at the landmass that we're on called America. It got stolen from them.
Right.
So they got screwed. They got screwed over doubly. Get it? I get that.
Right.
I get that. And the only reason why they didn't make Native American people put them on plantations is because the Native people here knew the land too well and they knew where to escape and how to get away.
Right.
When they brought
Exactly.
Africans over here, those Africans had no understanding of this landscape over here. So it's easier to imprison someone when
Right.
you bring them to a place they've never been
They
with
couldn't
no
run from the
resources.
place. Right. Yeah. Language
So you got to
barriers, right?
understand the
Didn't know the
dynamics of
landscape.
that.
Yeah.
You got to understand the dynamics of that. That's the same thing when you go to these Caribbean countries and places like these Caribbean islands. There were native people that were there. Those people got killed off. Remember when the Europeans came over, they did bring diseases and things of that nature
Yeah.
that people on this side of the country of the world never encountered, and it killed them.
The same thing happened with the Hawaiians. Like a giant pro- of the population of Hawaii died from disease and all
Wow.
this other stuff, right? And I think it ended up being like 80%. So, I mean, some people
Wow.
are like, I mean, we as Black people are hardy, but some people like not so much. You know that Australian Aborigine, every time they intermarry, they lose, uh, like, because their DNA, I guess, is so like fragile, it gets lost. So
Right.
eventually, there'll be nothing resembling, like, for instance, in my family, I have really light people because there was rape in the country, right? Going back 200 years, and you would get a really light person popping up in the gene pool.
Right.
Not so much dark like Africans, right?
Right.
But really light. There, if it was me and, like I say, an Aboriginal lady, after a few generations, the kids would just look black, right? There would be no hint that they were ever mixed with anything.
Well, if
It's
you
an
understand
amazing
the
thing,
word Aboriginal
right?
links to Australia as original,
Right.
meaning it's linked a link to Australia. Those Aboriginals in Australia, because I was talking to a guy I did an interview with a few weeks ago, and we were talking about Egypt and Africa. A lot of times, Black people in America, we will call ourselves, some of us, we are the original people, right? And when I was talking to him and we were doing the research, actually, we are nothing but the children of the original people. We're not the original people because the original folks, the people in Australia, those folks in Australia, they have the closest DNA to the original folks that's walked this land. So we're
Right.
sort of a offshoot. That's why when you said that their genes are very fragile, meaning that they
Right.
can, they don't, when you look at their features, their
Right.
bone structure in their forehead, their noses,
Right.
they are the most original to those early species of humans that walk this earth. We
Right.
don't come from them. They are the most closest to them. We are the offshoot children of generations of the genes changing. You
Right.
just said it a few minutes ago.
Right. Right.
So when we say we're original, technically, because I know Black folks like to say that a lot,
Right.
technically we are the descendants of those that were original. I don't know if
Right.
that even makes sense what I said.
No, it does because I mean, there's been an onslaught of new DNA introduced into our bloodstreams, right? Here in America. I'm not talking about any place else. There, they
Okay.
were essentially isolated up until, I want to say, 1790. When 1790? When did Cook discover Australia? I forget. Until, and there weren't large populations going there. And then when they
I
did,
see.
they were inmates and they were kept an eye on, and then again away from like these people. So I mean, the what's the word I'm looking for? How we managed to get from Africa through Europe and then all over the place, uh, is amazing. Like there were people on Easter Island, and they think that
Right.
they got there in that little island in the middle of no place, just like some windswept kind of like lost boat just kind of hit there, and then before you
Right
know it, there's
there.
a population.
You know, when you have there's people who believe that there was a panacea, all the all the different continents were together. There's a term for there was an ice sheet, and I forgot the name for that ice sheet. There's people who
Uh,
believe that that's how people were able to
right,
walk
the bridge,
across
the
and get to different.
Bering Strait Bridge,
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
they were
right,
they were able to get to different parts of the world. And what people did is they adapted to the environments. This is science, that people
right,
adapted to the environments that they were in based on walking across these sheets when the earth was, we had the ice age and you had
right.
a panacea, if you believe that. Now, you said something about cooks. Let me read this here. Australia on the 19th of April, 1770, James Cooks and some of his crew landed
On Philip's
at,
Foot, right?
yeah, well, it was actually the bay. It was at Baton Bay. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Bay on the 29th of April, 1770. After observing the transition of Venus, mapping the North and the South Islands of New Zealand. So this is that you're right. It was it's 1770.
Yeah. I mean, the war kicked off after our everybody just wanted to be over the British after our rebellion because they could not believe that we won. And then they were like,
Mm,
if they can, these farmers can beat the greatest army in the world, why can't we? And then
right,
they started looking for other stuff like India, right? So that's why there's a
right.
lot of Indian connection to like the island of Britain and not so much here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Right,
but yeah,
right,
not
brother.
American history, but American history is
Right.
interesting. But world history is how we migrated from point A to point B is really good.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. But hey, True, it was great coming up and talking to you for the
Yeah,
moment. We got into
thank
some other some areas I didn't think
absolutely.
we were going to talk about,
Yeah, we covered a
um,
lot.
hey, Lorenzo just added to the content,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
thanks a
I've
lot for
noticed some
that.
of this.
It added to it created the discussion. But I'm gonna jump off and relax a little bit now. And I was glad to be able to come up and shoot the
Yeah,
breeze with you. We'll have to shoot the breeze again. Matter of fact, we'll have to get you
absolutely.
on the YouTube channel, man, and have some of this type of discussion, this intelligent discussion about
I'd love to.
history. And because I'm always open to learning about what people know that I don't know.
Exactly.
And then that's how you learn and you grow, because everybody brings a different perspective. I have a feeling that you're probably really good with breaking down like the meaning of certain, everything that we speak in the English language has
Right.
a meaning to it, right?
Right.
Like I found out, like when you look at the word unity, unity really means seeking out people who have a like-mindedness like yourself. So
Right.
the etymology of words, I think you probably
Right.
pretty good with
Yeah, I
that
do like
stuff.
that. Yeah, I like where words come from and how. Because I tell my nephew all the time. I'm like, words mean stuff. That doesn't, like we got into it really quickly about the word hustle and the word grind, right? So when I was a kid,
Okay.
all the drug dealers had a hustle, right? All the
Right, right.
prostitute ladies, but all those straight laced guys who were trying to get a work were on their grind, trying to get that money. Same thing, but now hustle and grind mean the same thing, and I'm like, they shouldn't, right?
No, it's two
Uh,
different things.
Thank you. And but the more they move the bar of language, like they move the bar of everything else, it be
Yeah.
like
But younger people, they
the word
conflate
black now
everything a
means
lot.
anybody from Africa, and I'm like, no, black means people connected to slaves and slavery. They use that black and white in this society were used because the white in Europe, they were always at war. The British against the Germans, the French against the British, against the Russians. Here, all those people who hated each other just were white, right? So now you start over with this nebulous term of white against the blacks, right? Because you didn't want to call them the
Right.
whites against the slaves. So now other people come here after the place is built, you know, and
Right.
they're, like Trevor Noah is telling you about black culture and black life. And I'm like, look, man, your pain is real but it's over there. Why are you not
Right.
taking this
It's
information
not
from
the
somebody
same.
here? Thank
We
you.
we all we
It's
all
like saying
share.
your pain
We
is
all-
the same as I'm not your pain, but like you German, tell me about Italian history because you're both white. It's not, you know what I mean?
It's not the same.
Yeah, thank you.
German
And it's a way to
history is
undercut
not
us.
the same as Russian history.
Thank you.
You know, we might have similar experiences as Black people globally,
Right.
but our experiences are still uniquely different to where we live on the globe.
Thank you.
Because you can't tell me that because when you look at America in the whole experience of these slave plantations and the cotton fields that you have in
400
Georgia
years
and
of this.
Mississippi and Alabama,
Right.
that's a whole different experience, a whole different narrative
400 years.
than the
How
other
dare you
narrative.
show up from someplace else and go, this is what Black people. I'm like, first of all, if you're an ally, you know, I appreciate it, but you are not the leader. You should not be dictating what we need done here.
Right.
After people
a-
have been in this struggle for 400 years,
Right.
blowing
And
up
a lot of
churches
the
and
and a lot of the Blacks that are in the UK, there are a
Mhm.
sprinkle of them who were, because remember, during the Civil War, the Great Britain offered freedom to Black people
yeah, who were
to
for
work as spies and work on the other side. So there are
Right.
Black people who left America because Great Britain was offering them freedom and went to
Right.
Great Britain, and those Black people had children, and those children are over there now. But then there was a large contingency of Black people who came from Jamaica who were
Right.
offered an opportunity to come into the UK, who came into the UK. They were treated poorly, but they didn't have a slave experience where they were
Right.
put on plantations and put in shackles. They
Right.
simply were offered to come over to Great Britain, and then they were treated poorly, right?
Right.
And then I think Great Britain's been wanting to
Racist.
deport some of them, right? So that is their history. Who
Right.
am I as a Black American to try to come over to the UK and tell those Blacks who have Jamaican heritage
Right.
about their heritage as it relates to how they were treated when their family members came off the boat and
Right.
came to UK, and how
Right.
there were riots over there, and you had the police in the UK trying to destroy Black owned businesses of those that were from Jamaica. Who am I to tell them about that history when they know it better than I do? So therefore, don't come to America
All right. You
and
know
tell
what,
me as a
Lorenzo
Black
Garza?
person
You want to be a
about the
knucklehead?
history
We're
of
just
Black
gonna
folks in
ban
the
you.
South. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But True, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna jump off. We'll have
Yeah.
another discussion again, brother. This was great.
Absolutely, man.
And thanks a lot, Lorenzo. You actually added to the content.
Here's
So
the thing
anyway.
about sarcasm. There's Poe's law. I don't know if this is sarcasm, but I mean, sarcasm does not show up well in print.
Let me see. Yet I don't remember
I was raised a cotton
any
picker.
Blacks picking cotton with us Indians and Mexicans and white people. What the hell is he talking about now?
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea. That's why I was like, you want to be like ridiculous?
When we're, if I'm not mistaken, I'm talking about in America.
Right.
When you look at the cotton industry or the agricultural industry in America that fueled the Industrial Revolution, or before the Industrial Revolution took over, it was Black people in America that was in those cotton fields
Yeah.
picking crops. We were involved in agriculture. Native Americans have always been involved in agriculture, but I'm
And
talking
we
about
stopped
as
doing
slaves.
it in about the 40s when the Great Migration happened.
Right.
So they needed
So
someone else
if he's
to do
talking
it.
about Mexicans, the Mexicans were able to come over and pick tomatoes and get in these fields, yet they were getting
Under
paid
Chavez
for their
in
work.
the 60s.
Yeah, but this is the thing. The Mexicans were being paid, were being treated, or were working in poor conditions too.
Right.
They were getting paid very poor wages. But this
Right.
is the difference. Wasn't nobody, this is what happened to Black people.
Nobody was
You know this,
beating you
True.
and selling your women off.
If after you picked your cotton, and then they would have to measure your cotton, if you didn't pick enough cotton to the liking of the overseer or someone,
Right.
they could whoop you for not having enough in your basket. Tell me how many people who came over from the border of Mexico that are picking let's say tomatoes,
Right.
and when they go up to turn in their tomato collection, the people that hired them are now beating them as a slave, and they have no recourse. What they've
Right.
done to them, what they did to them, is that they gave them poor living conditions. They did. and they gave them very little money,
Right.
which they did.
Ridiculously
But
long hours in the sun. Right.
right,
You're right. But
but
nobody
they
was
came
beating your
over
women and
of their
telling you.
own free will and said they were willing to work in the fields because they didn't have
Yeah,
any education. The
exactly.
difference is that black people in America, our ancestors, were never given a choice. They didn't say, hey, would you like to work in this cotton field and let us whip your back
Exactly.
and let us go into the quarters and rape your women?
Right.
Now, so I'm saying the difference is that, yeah, there were horrible things that happened to Mexican people who worked in the fields. I'm pretty sure there were people trying to take advantage of their women, but
Right.
technically they weren't slaves.
Right. You could
And
leave
it
if you
wasn't
wanted
being
to.
sanctioned
Go
by
quit
the
that job
government.
and go back.
Yeah,
You know
the
what I'm saying?
government of the United States was sanctioning black people as slaves. It was
Exactly.
the law. There was no law
Exactly.
that says, hey, bring Mexican people over here and now they're slaves. There
You're
is no
walking
such
down
law.
the street and someone can arrest you and make you slave
Right.
labor, prison
And then
labor,
this is
rather.
another thing that's ridiculous.
That no
Tell
one ever
me,
did that.
check this out. Some of the first people who did come over here that were put in slavery, it's called indentured servitude. You had
Yeah.
white people who were, just check this out. The
Came for their
reason why those,
passage.
right, the reason why those white people were put in indentured servitude is because they were criminals. They committed crimes in Great Britain. So they were sent to this
Well,
new world.
not all of them. Some people wanted to leave Great Britain and they had to pay for their passage
That's
because I
right.
guess
You're
back then
right.
it would have
You're
been
right.
$75,000.
Right.
So you get
Right.
over there and then you cut the grass and chop the trees and you do this for 8 years
Right.
and then your passage is paid off.
Your passage paid off. Sometimes they got
Right.
reparations. True, they gave them a little bit of money if they wanted to go
Yeah.
back to Great Britain. When had they didn't
Exactly.
do that with black people? But check
No,
this
they did
out.
not.
Some of these indentured servants were people that worked in the house. They did light work. They weren't doing no work where they were busting their back. I don't
Right.
remember in any history that white indentured servants were put in the slave quarters, or no, were put in the cotton fields and
Right.
had their backs whipped if they didn't pick
Right.
enough cotton.
Right.
Where's that history at? Huh? I'm
Right.
waiting for it.
It does not exist.
It does not exist.
Right.
And
I mean,
even Native
you may hate
American
your job, but
people,
you could always leave it. I mean,
yeah,
you can't
Native
associate
American
yourself.
people were not put on no plantations to
Right.
pick nobody's vegetables and be whipped on their back as we were. They weren't.
Right.
Not in slavery I'm talking about. So you got to distinguish what we're talking about here.
And long after slavery too.
Right. There's
Right.
one thing if you come over as a migrant and you're being taken advantage of, that's wrong. But
Right.
there's another thing if someone actually owns you as property.
Right.
Oh, I didn't even add, I forgot to add this, True. Not to mention, families were broken up. Let's say you're married to your wife. You got a wife, Lorenzo,
Right.
and they say, hey, we're going to sell your wife to the plantation down the street. And we're going
Right.
to, oh, that baby that just got born that your wife just gave birth to, oh, we just sold your baby to the plantation in the next state.
Right. Or we'll take it and give it to my wife for her to do something because she needs a doll or a toy or whatever. What can you
Right.
do about that?
So tell me what white person
Right.
and the people that he's talking about had that happen to them.
Right.
I'm
Look,
talking about in slavery.
exactly. And this
Not
is
as
the
a
thing. I mean,
migrant worker who came over of their own free will and said, hey, I'm going to leave my country. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to work in the field because it's the only job I can get, when they can actually turn around and go right back to where they came from. Black
Right.
folks that were enslaved, we had nowhere to go.
right.
Matter of fact, if we tried to leave the plantation, they would hunt after us with overseers and bounty
Right.
hunters.
Cut your foot off so you wouldn't leave again.
So
I
tell
mean,
me,
look, yeah, it is just an amazing experience. And then how people sort of give it short. Look, slavery, there was nothing illegal about what you did to your slave. So it could be murder, it could be rape, it could be selling children, it could be pedophilia, it could be homosexuality at you,
yeah,
right? The idea, it's the idea that you hear people go, well, indentured servitude and they were white slaves. You're like, what are you talking about? And I think the country did it on purpose. We want to control people, so we want to make the population, we want to dumb them down as much as possible.
right.
And when we tell you, all this wild stuff, you're happy to repeat it in public.
Right,
just-
right.
It's
Well,
just
True,
kinda
let
like-
me get out of here,
Yeah,
though, brother.
so
But
I'm
let
gonna
me
let
say
you
this to
go.
Lorenzo.
We're
Since
also
Lorenzo's
gonna-
got all this skepticism about what we're talking about.
That's
Lorenzo,
right. Lorenzo needs
since
to
you're
educate himself.
since you don't agree with anything that we're saying, but yet you're still in the chat room, why don't you subscribe to some of this good content?
Natives were treated worse than black. It's not about who was treated.
It's not about, we're not
Yeah,
we're not
right.
talking about
We're
that
not right.
natives were treated worse than us, man. We're not even talking about that.
And if
But
natives
see
were not
this
given food or a place to stay, there would be no more
see
natives, man.
see true,
Look,
this is the thing. Why is it
every
that when black people, when we talk about the experiences of our ancestors or something, somebody always have to come out and say,
yeah,
well,
buts.
such
Right,
and such, yeah, but such and such, when we're not even trying to say that
right,
Native American people weren't treated poorly.
right,
I made a distinctive difference. Distinctive difference is that Native people were treated poorly, but they were
right,
not put in slavery by this
right,
government. We were. That's the difference. Live with it.
right.
Deal with it. You know you like this content, Lorenzo. That's why you haven't left the chat, because you love this content.
Yeah. All right. So this is about where we're ending. It's 9:30. We want to thank everyone for coming through, even you, Lorenzo Garza. We feel you. I mean, look, man. No one is discounting your pain and your history. No one's doing that,
No,
right?
no,
No
no.
one's
I'm
doing
not
that.
doing that.
And we
No,
even
no.
came up with a whole list of fucked up shit. Excuse my language. That has happened to like the American Indian as well as the Aborigine. We're not discounting or saying stuff didn't happen.
He said you won't beam him up.
Oh,
I
did
think
you
he
want?
wanted to come on up on the platform.
You should have said that. I thought you meant that I was smoking weed or something. I was high or something. We're about to end the chat, but you know what? We're here every day. I'm here 6:30 Monday through Saturday, and Sundays we're here 7:30 a.m. for the Sunday
Yeah,
session.
I'll come
Yeah,
back
come on
over.
through whenever. We
I
will
get a
absolutely have you up, Lorenzo, and
yeah,
we'll
I'll get
deal with
alerts
daily
from your
your
channel.
concerns.
So I'll definitely come back over whenever you come on if I'm available.
Yeah,
And Lorenzo, don't I don't want him to think that we're not open to other
right,
people's experiences. But
right,
it's just kind of funny to me that when black people talk about our experiences, people
right,
always want to say, but well, we're
right,
not even talking down about your experience, but then
right.
you want to try to marginalize our ancestors' experience. You can't do that. Can't do that, man. No more than you want us to do that to your ancestors. But
Right.
come
Thanks
on.
for subscribing, Lorenzo. Tell you what,
Yeah, thank you for
Monday,
subscribing.
we're here 6:30 Monday. You come
Yeah,
through
you know you
Monday,
like this
we will
content.
beam you up, and then you can tell us
Yeah.
all this good stuff on Monday.
Yeah, check me out
Tomorrow's
too,
the Sunday
Lorenzo.
session.
Information Man TV. Subscribe. You know you
Yeah,
like this content,
subscribe to
man.
Information Man. Yeah, so let's
And
get it.
next time, Lorenzo, you come up and you tell us, you explain from your
Exactly.
perspective and your experience. And I bet you
Exactly.
any kind of money that me or True or anybody, we're not going to sit up here and say, but you didn't have it as worse.
Right.
I wasn't even
Exactly.
trying to go there. We were just
Exactly.
simply two black men talking about the experiences of our ancestors.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So
Uh, all right, ladies and gentlemen.
take
Thanks for tuning in.
yeah,
Lorenzo,
take
thanks for
care.
subscribing.
Take care,
Information
brother.
Man.
I'll talk to you
Thanks for
soon.
coming up. I really appreciate you coming up. Uh, all right, everyone. That is it for us. Got love for you. We are here every day, 6:30, Monday through Saturday. Sundays, we're here at 7:30 a.m. Come by, have coffee with us. It counts as church or mosque or synagogue, and it clears your soul for 2 weeks. I tell everybody that. You want some Lorenzo? Definitely swing by Monday, man. We'll bring you up and you can tell us about this. We had a lady come through yesterday who was Scottish, and she told about Scottish and why it's different from Ireland and some of the all the stuff that we didn't know about the British system, and it was super helpful and educational. And so yeah, absolutely, because I could definitely learn much more about the experiences of the American Lakota. So please, Monday, come on through 6:30. We'll be here. Information Man, always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure. Everyone watching, thanks. Like and subscribe to the chat. We are here every day, every single day. Uh, it's your Friday night. Go and have a beer. Go talk to a cutie. Go get talked to by a dude or whatever you want to do, right? Don't sweat work yesterday and don't sweat it come Monday. Find something in your weekend to sort of make a memory for you. All right. You feel me? Everyone, thanks for coming through. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank William, who was here earlier. I got nothing but love for you, baby. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace and here.